The underground complex trembled, not from external bombardment, but from its own dying infrastructure. Reinforced concrete walls, once a symbol of human engineering, now cracked and wept like wounded skin. Dr. Elena Rodriguez moved with the precision of a surgeon and the desperation of a cornered predator. Her hands, scared from years of resistance and scientific struggle, clutched a data core that represented humanity's final hope. Sweat and dust traced intricate patterns across her face, a map of survival etched in human determination. Around her, the last refuge of human civilization, hummed with a mixture of advanced technology and desperate improvisation. Quantum computers salvaged from abandoned research stations stood alongside jury-rigged communication arrays. Holographic displays flickered with star charts, showing the systematic destruction of human colonies, a graveyard of worlds. "Status report," she called out, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of survival. Marcus Chen, the youngest systems analyst in the complex, looked up from his interface. At 23, he had known nothing but war, nothing but humanity's slow, agonizing retreat from a galaxy that seemed intent on their total extinction. "Outer perimeter sensors are down to 37% efficiency," he reported. "We're bleeding information faster than we can patch the leaks." The Exardilian invasion had not been a traditional war. It was systematic elimination, a cold, calculated process of genocide that had reduced humanity from a thriving interstellar civilization to less than 1 million survivors. Entire planetary systems had been erased, reduced to cosmic dust in the wake of alien ships that moved like mathematical equations given murderous form. Elena approached a massive holographic display that mapped humanity's final territories. Red zones, areas of total Exardilian control, covered most of the known galactic regions. The few remaining blue zones representing human resistance were shrinking by the hour. "We're not just fighting for survival anymore," she muttered, more to herself than to anyone else. "We're fighting for the right to exist." An alarm blared, soft, but with the kind of urgency that spoke of imminent destruction. Marcus's fingers flew across his interfaces. "Exardilian long-range scanners are sweeping this sector," he said, his voice betraying a hint of fear beneath professional calm. "They're getting closer." The data core in Elena's hands began to pulse, not with light, but with a subtle quantum vibration that seemed to defy traditional understanding. It was more than just a piece of technology. It was a promise, a weapon, possibly humanity's last chance. Dr. Ibrahim Abdullah, the eldest member of their research team, approached slowly. His prosthetic leg, a testament to years of resistance, clicked softly against the metal flooring. "The core is responding," he said, his voice a mixture of scientific wonder and desperate hope. "It's not just storing information, it's communicating." Elena turned, the data core catching the dim light of the underground complex. "Communicating with what?" she asked. Before Abdullah could respond, a massive tremor shook the complex. Dust rained from the ceiling. Distant explosions suggested that Exardilian sweep was closer than anyone had anticipated. "We're out of time," Marcus said, his young face hardened by years of survival. Elena Rodriguez looked at the data core, then at the team around her. The last remnants of human resistance, the final architects of their species' potential. "No," she said quietly. "We're just beginning." The encrypted data core hummed with a soft, almost imperceptible vibration against Elena Rodriguez's palm. The underground research chamber felt impossibly small, its reinforced walls lined with salvaged alien technology and human desperation. Jack Harper leaned against a makeshift workstation, his prosthetic arm reflecting the dim blue light of holographic displays. The arm, a testament to his past, was more advanced than most human tech, salvaged from a classified military project before the fall. His bloodshot eyes never left the data core, a mixture of skepticism and desperate hope etched into his weathered features. "Talk to me, Rodriguez," he muttered, taking a long pull from a flask that definitely didn't contain regulation water. "What makes this little piece of tech so special?" Zara Kim's fingers danced across multiple interface panels, her teenage frame belying the technical genius that had become humanity's most potent weapon. Born after the first wave of alien invasions, she knew nothing but resistance. Lines of code scrolled across her displays faster than most humans could comprehend, each movement precise and calculated. "It's not just encrypted," Zara said, her voice cutting through the tension. "It's quantum-locked. The encryption isn't just a code. It's a living mathematical construct that changes its own parameters continuously." Dr. Malik Abdullah shuffled closer, his aged hands trembling slightly as he adjusted his augmented reality glasses. Once the leading xenobiologist of Earth's top research institute, he now looked like a fragile shadow of his former self. But his eyes burned with an intensity that spoke of unbroken spirit. "Fascinating," he murmured. "The encryption suggests a biotechnological interface, far beyond anything we've seen from the Xarillian systems. It's not just protecting information, it's alive." Alina set the data core down on a specialized analysis platform. Her hands, scared from years of resistance fighting and scientific work, moved with practiced precision. She had abandoned pure theoretical physics years ago, when the first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Now, survival was her only equation. "We've been approaching this all wrong," she said, her voice low and intense. "This isn't just a piece of technology. It's a message, a weapon, possibly our last chance." Jack scoffed. "Another miracle solution. We've heard that before." His prosthetic arm flexed unconsciously, a mechanical reminder of previous failed missions. Zara's eyes widened suddenly. "Wait, I'm seeing something. The encryption. It's responsive. It's reacting to our proximity, to our biological signatures." Her fingers flew across the interfaces, pulling up complex holographic representations that looked more like living organisms than traditional data structures. Dr. Abdullah leaned in, his scientific curiosity overriding his physical fragility. "Adaptive quantum encryption with biological recognition protocols. Extraordinary. This suggests a fundamental understanding of information transfer that makes human quantum computing look like child's play." The data core began to pulse with a soft, almost bioluminescent light. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever this was, it was watching them, analyzing them. "We need the full team," she said quietly. "Harper, contact Chen. We'll need her quantum mechanics expertise. And Zara, prepare a complete isolation protocol. Whatever this is, we can't risk the Xarillian tracking systems picking up our research." Jack nodded, his previous skepticism replaced by a familiar battle readiness. "I'll prep the quantum shielding. If this is our shot, we can't afford to lose it." As the team began their preparations, none of them noticed the subtle shift in the data core's pulsing light, almost like a heartbeat, waiting, watching, promising both destruction and salvation. The war room buzzed with a desperate energy that felt both mechanical and organic. Holographic displays flickered with endless streams of data, mapping the impossible, a path through the Xarillian nexus. Alina Rodriguez stood at the center, her fingers tracing impossible trajectories that defied conventional space navigation. "The nexus isn't just a computational core," she explained, her voice cutting through the tension. "It's a living system, biological and technological components so intertwined that traditional infiltration methods are suicide." Dr. Chen Wei, recently brought in from a hidden quantum research bunker, adjusted her augmented reality interface. Her hands moved like a conductor orchestrating an impossible symphony of data. "The data core we recovered isn't just a weapon," she said. "It's a key. A biological skeleton key designed to interface directly with the Xarillian neural network." Jack Harper's prosthetic arm hummed softly, its advanced sensors running constant threat assessments. "Explain that in words that don't sound like a death wish," he muttered. Zara Kim stepped forward, a holographic display exploding from her wrist interface. "The Xarillian civilization is essentially one massive, planet-sized neural network. Their ships, their technology, their entire infrastructure. It's all connected like a single massive brain. Our previous attacks failed because we were trying to fight individual systems. This, she pointed to the pulsing data core, lets us attack the entire consciousness at once. Dr. Abdullah, studying the displays, broke into a dry, raspy laugh. Brilliant. We're not just planning an infiltration. We're preparing a complete lobotomy of an entire civilization. The mission plan was insane, impossibly complex. A single razor-thin path of survival that required every single team member to perform perfectly. They would use a captured Sardalian stealth shuttle, modified with human ingenuity and the mysterious capabilities of the data core. Their entry point, a microscopic maintenance port on the outer membrane of the Nexus, a point so small and so well defended that no conventional invasion force would ever consider it. We'll have a window of approximately 7 minutes, Elena outlined, her finger tracing a nearly invisible path through layers of alien defenses. Zara will use the data core to create a quantum interference pattern that will temporarily blind their detection systems. Jack will handle physical infiltration. Dr. Chen will manage the viral weapons deployment. Jack checked his weaponry, a mix of salvaged alien tech and custom-built human modifications. 7 minutes, he repeated. That's less time than it takes me to make coffee. Dr. Chen looked up, her eyes reflecting a mixture of terror and determination. If we fail, humanity is extinct. No pressure. Zarva's fingers danced across her interfaces, running final simulations. Hundreds of potential scenarios played out in microseconds, most ending in complete failure. But there were possibilities. Slim chances. Hope. We're not just attacking a system, Elena said quietly, looking at each team member. We're rewriting the equation of human survival. The room fell silent. Outside, the last remnants of human resistance waited, generations of survivors. Entire colonies hidden in the darkness of space, their entire future balanced on this impossible mission. Jack broke the silence with a sardonic chuckle. Well, he said, checking the power cells on his infiltration gear. I've done stupider things before breakfast. The modified Sardalian stealth shuttle hung like a phantom against the impossible geometry of the Nexus. Its surface rippled with adaptive camouflage, a living skin that breathed and shifted, making the craft nearly invisible to alien detection systems. Jack Harper's hands moved with surgical precision across the shuttle's controls. Each movement was a calculated dance, years of combat experience distilled into millisecond-perfect reactions. Sweat beaded on his forehead, not from fear, but from the razor's edge of concentration. Approaching micro-insertion point, he muttered into the comm system, Zara, I need those quantum interference patterns now. Deep within the shuttle, Zara Kim's fingers were a blur across multiple interfaces. The data core pulsed with an almost sentient light, its quantum encryption creating a complex interference pattern that would temporarily blind the Nexus detection systems. Interference at 98.7% effectiveness, she reported. We've got a 47-second window. Absolute maximum. Dr. Chen Wei monitored the biological systems, her augmented reality display showing complex molecular interactions that looked more like abstract art than scientific data. Biological mimicry is holding, she said. Our molecular signature is reading as a standard Sardalian maintenance drone. The shuttle's exterior began to dissolve, its adaptive material reshaping to match the microscopic maintenance board. It was less an entry and more a biological merging, the line between machine and organism blurring into something entirely new. Jack felt the moment of transition like a physical pressure. The shuttle wasn't just entering the Nexus, it was being accepted by it. We're in, he said, his voice low. Prepare for direct neural interface. Dr. Abdullah's voice crackled over the comm, his role now critical as the mission's primary tactical analyst. The internal structure is changing, he warned. The Nexus is alive, truly alive. It's responding to our presence in ways we never anticipated. The internal environment of the Nexus was a nightmare of biological and technological fusion. Corridors pulsed with what looked like veins, Surfaces shifted and breathed. Computational nodes that looked like massive neural clusters hung like organic chandeliers. Every surface was a potential threat. Every movement a potential detection. Zara's interface began to pulse with warning signals. Quantum interference is degrading, she called out. We've got less time than we thought. Jack moved with impossible smoothness, his prosthetic arm interfacing directly with the Nexus's internal systems. Each movement was a negotiation, a delicate dance of invasion and camouflage. Chen, prepare the viral weapon, he said. We're approaching the primary neural junction. Dr. Chen's hands moved over a compact device that looked more like a living organism than a weapon. The viral weapon was a quantum biological construct designed to exploit the fundamental weaknesses in the Tyrillian neural network. Targeting system is online, she reported, waiting for optimal insertion point. The Nexus seemed to breathe around them. Massive computational clusters pulsed with alien consciousness, unaware of the tiny invasion moving through its most sensitive systems. Jack's voice was a whisper. We are inside the dragon, he said. Now we just need to find its heart. The neural junction looked like a cathedral of impossible geometry. Massive computational clusters throbbed with alien consciousness, tendrils of biotechnological matter weaving through crystalline data streams that defied human understanding. Dr. Chen Wei stood at the epicenter, the viral weapon clutched in her hands like a living thing. Quantum synchronization initiating, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the ambient hum of alien systems. The device in her hands was no longer just a weapon. It was a quantum biological key designed to unlock the fundamental weaknesses of an entire civilization. Jack Harper's prosthetic arm interfaced directly with the surrounding systems, creating a real-time defensive perimeter. We've got 3 minutes before full detection, he warned. Chen, you're running out of time. Zara Kim's fingers flew across her interfaces, creating a complex quantum interference pattern that would mask their presence. Interference field is stabilizing, she reported, but it won't hold for long. The Nexus is learning, adapting faster than we predicted. The viral weapon began to change. What had looked like a compact device now seemed to breathe, its surface rippling with complex molecular patterns that shifted and reformed like living mathematics. Dr. Chen understood now why the data core they'd discovered was so unique. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a message, a fundamental reimagining of information itself. It's alive. Dr. Abdullah's voice crackled over the comm system. The weapon isn't just a tool. It's a form of communication we've never seen before. The first tendrils of the viral weapon reached out, interfacing with the nearest computational clusters. It wasn't an invasion in any traditional sense. Instead, it was a conversation, a complex dialogue written in the language of quantum mechanics and biological adaptation. Elena Rodriguez watched the readouts, her breath caught in her throat. It's not destroying, she said, her voice filled with a mixture of wonder and terror. It's rewriting. The Nexus began to react. Massive computational clusters pulsed with what could only be described as confusion. Entire systems began to shift, reorganize, their fundamental logic being challenged by something they couldn't comprehend. Jack felt the change first, through his prosthetic interface. Something's happening, he growled. The systems. They're not fighting. They're listening. Zara's displays erupted with impossible data streams. It's a quantum communication protocol, she said, her young voice filled with a mixture of scientific excitement and primal fear. The weapon is teaching the system something, rewriting its fundamental understanding of existence. Dr. Chen's hands moved with surgical precision, guiding the viral weapon's complex interface. We're not just attacking, she said, her voice distant. We're changing the entire conceptual framework of their civilization. The neural junctions began to pulse with a light that was neither biological nor technological, something in between, something new. Viral deployment at 73%, Zara reported. But it's not following any protocol we've ever seen. It's learning, adapting. Jack's prosthetic arm began to vibrate. picking up quantum fluctuations that defied traditional understanding. "What the hell are we unleashing?" he muttered. Elena's voice cut through the tension. "Our last hope," she said simply. "Humanity's final message to a universe that tried to destroy us." The collapse began not with a bang, but with a whisper. Across thousands of light years, exarillion systems started to fracture in ways that defied comprehension. What had been a monolithic, planet-spanning consciousness began to unravel like a complex tapestry, suddenly losing its fundamental threads. Jack Harper watched the holographic displays with a mixture of horror and fascination. "It's not dying," he muttered. "It's changing." The viral weapon was no longer just a weapon. It had become something else entirely. A quantum-level conversation that was fundamentally rewriting the Tarillian understanding of existence. Entire star systems went dark, not from destruction, but from a complete reorganization of their technological infrastructure. Dr. Chen Wei's hands moved across her interfaces, tracking the impossible transformation. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's not a collapse. It's a metamorphosis." Zurakin's displays erupted with complex data streams that looked more like living organisms than traditional computational readouts. "The viral weapon is teaching," she explained, her young voice filled with a mixture of scientific excitement and primal fear. "It's not destroying the Tarillian systems. It's revealing something fundamental about their existence." On the bridge of their hidden command ship, Elena Rodriguez watched as entire sectors of alien space transformed. Massive computational structures that had once seemed invincible now pulsed with an entirely new form of consciousness. It was as if the viral weapon had opened a door to a dimension of understanding that the Tarillian civilization had never comprehended. Dr. Abdullah's voice crackled over the communication systems. "It's a complete conceptual breakdown," he said. "The weapon isn't just attacking their systems, it's challenging their entire understanding of reality." Jack's prosthetic arm vibrated with quantum fluctuations that defied traditional physics. Massive alien ships hung motionless in space, their complex systems reconfiguring in real time. Some seemed to dissolve, while others transformed into structures that looked more like living organisms than technological constructs. "We've done something," Elena said quietly, "that goes beyond war." The Exarillion communication networks, once a seamless, planet-spanning consciousness, began to fragment and reform. It wasn't destruction. It was evolution forced at quantum speed. Entire star systems went dark, not from any traditional form of warfare, but from a complete reimagining of their technological and biological infrastructure. Zara's displays showed something unprecedented. "The viral weapon is creating," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "It's not just breaking down. It's building something new." Massive computational clusters that had once controlled entire star systems now pulsed with a light that was neither biological nor technological. Something in between. Something new. Jack watched a nearby Exarillion mothership, once an impossibly complex technological marvel, slowly dissolve and reform. "What the hell are we watching?" he muttered. "First contact," Elena responded, her voice distant, but not the way anyone expected. The collapse continued, but it wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Across thousands of light years, the Tarillian civilization was being rewritten, not destroyed, transformed. And humanity watched, equal parts terrified and awestruck, as something entirely new emerged from the quantum dissolution of an impossible alien consciousness. The hidden human fleets erupted from the darkness like a vengeful storm. Thousands of ships, cobbled together from salvaged technology, human ingenuity, and decades of desperate preparation, burst forth from concealed bases scattered across multiple star systems. These were not the sleek, uniform vessels of a conventional military. Each ship told a story of survival, of resistance, of humanity's refusal to be extinguished. Admiral Rebecca Chen, no relation to the Dr. Chen who designed the viral weapon, stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's most advanced command vessel. Her hands gripped the tactical interface, years of underground resistance etched into every line of her weathered face. "All units," she commanded, her voice steady, "execute Operation Resurrection." The first wave struck with calculated precision. Tardillian outposts that had once seemed invincible now hung vulnerable, their systems still reeling from the viral weapons transformation. Human ships moved with a fluidity that defied their cobbled-together origins, each vessel an adaptive, living weapon. Jack Harper's tactical interface lit up with targeting solutions that would have been impossible mere weeks ago. "They're wide open," he reported to Elena Rodriguez, who coordinated the overall strategic approach. "Their defensive systems are. I don't even know how to describe it. They're not just down. They're fundamentally changed." Zara Kim's quantum communication systems intercepted alien transmissions that were more like philosophical debates than military communications. "Their entire civilization is in philosophical shock," she reported, a hint of dark humor in her young voice. "We're not just attacking. We're engaging in a form of existential warfare they never anticipated. On 100 different fronts, humanity struck. Not with blind rage, but with a surgical precision born of decades of resistance. Every ship, every soldier carried the weight of generations. Families destroyed, planets burned, a species pushed to the absolute brink of extinction." Dr. Abdullah, monitoring the strategic overview, laughed, a rare, sharp sound that cut through the tension of the bridge. "Look at them," he said. "The Exardillian systems are trying to understand what's happening. They're not even fighting back. They're trying to comprehend." The counterattack was more than a military operation. It was a statement, a collective scream of a species that refused to be forgotten. Elena Rodriguez watched the tactical displays, her fingers tracing the complex movement of human forces. "This isn't about revenge," she said quietly. "This is about reclaiming our future." Entire Exarillian star systems went dark, not from destruction, but from a complete reorganization of their technological and social infrastructure. Human ships moved through the chaos like quantum ghosts, striking with a precision that seemed to defy traditional warfare. "Targets neutralized in Sector 7, a communications officer reported. "Minimal human casualties. Complete system conversion." Jack Harper's prosthetic arm hummed with quantum energy. "We're not just fighting," he muttered. "We're rewriting the rules of existence." As the counterattack continued, something unprecedented became clear. This was not a traditional war. This was a fundamental reimagining of galactic power dynamics. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were becoming something entirely new. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the strategic chatter. "Remember why we fight," she said. "Not for vengeance, not for territory, but for the right to exist. To choose our own path." The human fleets continued their advance, and the universe watched in awe. 5 years after the transformation, the world was no longer recognizable. Earth, once a battlefield of near extinction, had become something entirely new. Massive orbital habitats hung in the sky like living crystals, their structures a perfect blend of human creativity and the quantum technologies discovered during the war. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Central Reconstruction Hub, watching the sunrise over a planet slowly healing itself. Her team, the architects of humanity's survival, had become something between legends and living historical artifacts. Jack Harper approached, his prosthetic arm now a seamless part of his body, no longer a replacement but an evolution. "They're calling a global council meeting," he said, his voice carrying the weight of everything they'd survived. Zara Kim, no longer a teenager but a leading quantum systems architect, was already interfacing with the massive computational systems that now governed human expansion. "The last billion computational nodes are stabilizing," she reported. "We're still learning from them." Dr. Chen Wei stepped forward, her research having transformed from weapon design to the most significant technological renaissance in human history. "We didn't just survive," she said, looking out at the transformed landscape. "We became something else entirely." The quantum weapon had done more than defeat the Xarillian civilization. It had fundamentally rewritten the rules of technological and biological interaction. Humans now interfaced with technology in ways that would have seemed like magic mere decades ago. Cities grew like living organisms. Computational systems thought and felt. The line between biological and technological had become beautifully, impossibly blurred. Dr. Abdullah, now a revered elder of human scientific understanding, watched the reconstruction with a mixture of wonder and scientific curiosity. "We were never just about survival," he said quietly. "We were about potential." Massive terraforming projects transformed dead planets. Entire star systems that had once been Xarillian territory now pulsed with human potential. But it wasn't conquest. It was something more profound, a collaborative reimagining of existence. The Global Council chambers were a testament to the transformation. Representatives from every surviving human colony gathered, not as politicians, but as architects of a new form of civilization. They were no longer defined by national boundaries or historical conflicts. They were defined by a collective understanding of survival and potential. "We stand at the threshold of something unprecedented," Elena told the assembled representatives. Her voice carried the weight of their collective journey. "We are not who we were. We are not what we thought we would become." Jack Harper stood beside her, a living symbol of human adaptation. His prosthetic arm now moved with a fluidity that surpassed biological limitations. "We didn't just survive," he said. "We evolved." The quantum technologies recovered from the Xarillian systems had transformed every aspect of human existence. Medical systems could rebuild and reimagine human biology. Computational networks thought with a complexity that blurred the lines between artificial and organic intelligence. Zara's interfaces showed the ongoing exploration of recovered Xarillian knowledge. "We're still learning," she said. "Every day, we discover something new about the universe, about ourselves." Dr. Chen looked out at the transformed Earth. Cities that grew like living organisms. Computational systems that thought and felt. Humans who were no longer limited by their biological origins. "We are not conquerors," Elena said, her voice capturing the essence of their transformation. "We are explorers. We are potential." The sun rose over a world reborn, and humanity looked to the stars, not with fear, but with an infinite, unquenchable curiosity.